Good morning, good afternoon, good evening everyone, wherever you're watching us from. I'm Buki Alayo and welcome you back to the channel. Today we'll be cutting our blouse, and for us to do that we've already marked out our points on our lining fabric. Okay, at the very top here we have our shoulder line, here is our chest line, we have our bust point, we have our under bust length, we have our half length and our blouse length, and we added 2 inches allowance to that. Okay, also here we've measured out our 8 inches for the shoulder. It's a 16-inch shoulder here, so 8 inches, and I added a ½ inch right here for our seam allowance. All right, now that we have all these points marked out, the first thing we want to do is we're going to come to the top right here on the shoulder. Okay, we're going to mark out the dots that we'll be taking in. Okay, so here we'll take 1 inch here and we'll take 1 inch here. Okay, this 1 inch that we've taken, we're going to get our ruler and connect it to our bust points. So the next thing will be from this bust point, we're going to come in also on the under bust length line. Okay, and here we're going to come in by 1 inch again, and here we take 1 inch as well. Okay, now you join those points again to your bust points, then we mark these lines straight down. Okay, so now that we've done this, we're now going to measure on our chest, on our bust points. We want to measure what is our bust. Bust is 36 divided by 4 is 9 inches. We want to mark that 9 inches here. We add 1 inch seam allowance. Okay, we come to our waist. What is our waist measurement? Our waist measurement is 32, which is divided by 4 is 8 inches. You mark your 8 inches. Okay, and you add 1 inch allowance. So the next thing we're going to do is we're going to come here and check our dots that we took out here. This is about 2.5 inches. You want to return that here. We mark that out. Okay, and then the blouse length. On this blouse length, you want to calculate your hip. Divide your hip by 4, and then you take out 1 or 2 inches to get your accurate measurement for the hip. So the hip is 42 divided by 4, that's 10.5. Okay, so 10.5, 1 inch allowance, that's 1 inch seam allowance. Then, like we did before, 2.5 from here, we replace it here. Okay, and then we join all those points. Alright, so we've connected those points. Okay, so now whatever we have on the bust point here, we want to take it up to the chest line also. Okay, so the next thing we're going to do is on our shoulder, on this front is where our neckline will be. Okay, so we want to measure down what's the neck depth. Okay, so for this neck depth we're going to take about 6.5 inches in, or 6.5 inches down. I want it to be sort of like a sweetheart neck. Okay, so it's gonna go like that. Okay, and then we know that this is where our shoulder point is. We want to join this line. Get your ruler, draw your line down from where we have the shoulder, draw a straight line down. Okay, so this is where we're going to measure our arm hole. Okay, now that we know that this is where our measurement is, we want to curve it out by hand. Curve that out. Okay. So mark our sweetheart neck, and that will be that. So now what's left for us is to cut out all of these things that we have. So we cut out our 2 pieces. On the shoulder, we're going to do the slant, so I just slant that off right there. Okay, so the next thing we're going to do is cut out our back. Alright, so we're about to cut the back, and like we did for the front, this is our shoulder line, this is the chest line, this is your bust point or the bust line, the waist, the blouse length, and the allowance or the excess here. Okay, so the next thing we're going to do is come to this waistline. Okay, and on the one end we're going to come in by 1 inch. On this other end you can come in by 1 inch. Okay, I'm sorry, 1 inch here and a ½ inch here. So what we're going to do is connect this ½ inch and 1 inch line. We'll connect it to the shoulder. You can see now that we've done that. So the next thing we're going to do is on this shoulder line, you know how it goes, we're going to do 3 inches for the neckline, 8 inches for the shoulder because the shoulder is 16, remember that? Okay, so that goes like that. Now on this chest line, we're going to measure our bust measurement. We're going to take our bust measurement here and we're going to take it up here as well. Okay, because we want to shape out our armhole. So bust is 36, that's 9 inches. Okay, take this measurement here, it's about 1 inch, thereabout, add it to it, and then we add 1 inch allowance, which is basically at the edge of the fabric. Alright, so whatever we mark here, we've marked here as well. So this is where our armhole, we'll draw this line down, which is the end of our shoulder, and then we'll curve it into here. Okay, so the next thing we're going to do is on this shoulder line, you want to come down by 1 inch, 1 inch, then you join this into the shoulder. Okay, join it to this neck point here. All right, so in order to mark our to carve out our bust, you want to come back to this line here, measure it to 7 inches. So half of that 7 inches is 3.5. okay, and from this point you can curve. So we go to the waist and the waist is 32 inches, meaning 8 inches if you divide it by 4. That brings us here. Measure what we have here, and this is 1 6/8. Let me take that again. Yes, 1 6/8. So measure that out this way, add our 1 inch allowance, and then on the blouse length, our hip is 42. Okay, so we take about 2 inches out because this is not going to land on the hip exactly, it's just above the hip, so we take about 2 inches out. So let's say that's 40, 10 inches here. You add, okay, there's nothing to add in here, you add your 1 inch. So I cut out the pieces from the fabric using our lining pieces. Okay, and this is our front. I've joined that already. This is the back, and this has been joined as well. Okay, so the next thing we're going to do is we're going to join the front and back pieces together at the shoulder, and we'll do the same with the lining that we have here. Okay, this is the lining, this is the front, and this here is the back. So we'll join the shoulders and then we'll be right back. So we've joined both the lining fabric and the front fabric at the shoulders. The next thing we're going to do is lay the lining fabric wrong side facing the right side of the main fabric, just like you see here. And then we're going to go to a sewing machine and do a 1/2 inch stitch all around. Okay, once we've done that, you want to turn it inwards, top stitch it so it lays flat, and then we'll move to the next step. Okay, so we've joined the shoulders and we've top stitched it. The next thing we're going to do is you open it up like this, okay, and you take the lining, making sure to join them on this right side. Okay, you open it up, and on each part, on the bust you measure your bust, on the waist you measure your waist, and on the hip you measure your hip. You mark that out and then you stitch it down that way. And then for the main body we do the same thing. Now we've joined the sides of our blouse on the main fabric and on the lining. The next thing we want to do is we want to turn this way, okay, and on the hip you want to go up by 2 inches. Go up by 2 inches, 2 inches or 3 inches, and you connect it to this part. You cut that off. So we're about to cut out the sleeve, and to help us do that, I made a pattern for our sleeve. Okay, the sleeve length is 19 inches. That's including the seam allowance up here, so it'll come to about 18.5 inches. And at the elbow point, which is the 13-inch point, that's my shoulder to elbow, we slashed it because we want to slant it. Okay, so now here's what we're going to do. Where we slanted it, right, on this slanted line, we're going to cut out this part. Cut out, and then cut out the full length of the full blouse itself. So that's what we have here. We've joined our sleeves to our blouse. Alright, so the next thing is we're going to check the length of our blouse, because at the very bottom of the blouse, okay, this is 22 inches, and at the end of the day, at the end of everything, we want our blouse to be exactly 22 inches. But because we still have the raw edges exposed here, and we want to seal that off by adding this part of the fabric, like this part with the golden flowers, we're going to cut a strip. Okay, we'll cut a strip of this golden part 2 inches wide. Okay, and then we're going to attach that. Okay, approximately the length of each flower, 2 inches. So we'll cut the strip and we'll measure around the top this way and attach that. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and cut the strip now and then attach it. Then we'll be back to talk about. So you can see our blouse is coming along very nicely. So here we can see that our piece that we're going to attach at the bottom has been attached and top stitched. Okay, so the next thing we're doing is fixing our zipper. Okay, we're going to fix our zipper and then our top is practically done. All right, we fixed our zipper and come to the end of the video. We want to thank you all for watching. If you've just found this page, please kindly subscribe, like, share, and click on the notification bell so that you can be notified whenever we upload videos. To all of our returning subscribers, we love you and I can't wait to see you all in the next video. Bye.